Fear is a normal part of life. Most people experience it every day, whether they admit it or not. Some fears are obvious, like fear of danger or failure. Others are quiet, but still powerful, like the fear of being alone, being judged, or not fitting in. These fears guide the way people think, act, and make decisions. But there's one type of person who faces fear differently: the Sigma male. A Sigma male doesn't ignore fear. He just doesn't let it control him. He moves through life on his own terms, with a mindset that's independent, focused, and deeply rooted in self-control. He isn't afraid to stand out, stay silent, or go against the grain. While others react to fear by following the crowd, he steps back, thinks clearly, and chooses his own way. You've probably heard the term Sigma male used to describe someone who walks outside the normal structure. He's not chasing attention like an alpha. He's not looking for approval like a beta. He's living quietly, with confidence, and making decisions based on values, not pressure. And because of this mindset, there are certain things that most people fear that barely affect him at all. This isn't about acting tough or pretending nothing matters. Sigma males feel fear like anyone else, but they respond to it differently. Where others avoid, they lean in. Where others panic, they stay calm. And where others follow, they choose their own way. In this video, we're going to look at 6 specific fears that most people carry, but that Sigma males tend to move past. If you've ever wondered why you don't worry about the same things as everyone else, this might help explain it. Or if you're looking to grow, it might show you where to start. Let's get into the first thing that almost everyone fears, except the Sigma male. Thing number 1, fear of standing alone. Most people fear being alone. They feel safer in groups. They want someone next to them when things go wrong. They want to be seen, heard, and accepted. They build their lives around connection, and when they lose it, they feel lost. But Sigma males don't see things that way. For them, standing alone isn't something to fear. It's something they've chosen. The idea of being alone doesn't scare a Sigma male. In fact, he finds peace in it. He doesn't need constant company to feel strong. He doesn't feel lost when he's not surrounded by others. He knows how to handle life on his own, and he trusts his ability to figure things out without relying on anyone else. This kind of strength isn't always loud. It doesn't look like a motivational speech or a bold action. Sometimes it looks like someone walking away from a toxic group without needing to explain. Sometimes it's someone building something quietly while the crowd laughs. Sigma males don't need support to move. They move because they believe in their direction. The fear of being alone often comes from a fear of rejection. People want to be liked. They want someone to tell them they're doing well. But a Sigma male builds his own confidence from within. He doesn't wait for permission. He doesn't shrink just because he's the only one in the room thinking differently. That kind of mental strength is rare, and it's what sets him apart. Of course, Sigma males still value connection. They just don't depend on it. They enjoy real relationships, but they don't fear losing shallow ones. They know that not every connection is meant to last. They'd rather walk alone than walk in the wrong direction with the wrong people. This fearlessness shows up in work, friendships, and even in how they live day to day. While others might follow the crowd to feel safe, the Sigma male often takes a step back to think alone. He listens to his own voice, even if it goes against what everyone else believes. That takes courage, not the kind that shows off, but the kind that stays calm when the room goes quiet. If you're someone who chooses peace over popularity, who trusts your own path even when no one walks beside you, then you're showing this sign. And if you've never feared being alone, only feared losing yourself, That's something few can say. But a Sigma male knows it well. Thing number 2, fear of not fitting in. Most people want to belong. It's part of human nature. Fitting in gives people a sense of safety, identity, and approval. That's why people wear the same styles, talk the same way, follow the same rules, and chase the same goals. Being part of the group feels like the right place to be. But not for the Sigma male. Sigma males don't try to fit in. They stand apart on purpose. They don't feel the need to match the crowd or follow what's popular. In fact, trying to fit in often feels fake to them. They'd rather be honest and alone than be accepted for something they're not. That kind of thinking can be hard for others to understand, but it's central to how a Sigma male lives. When a trend takes over, the Sigma male steps back. He watches, he observes, but he doesn't follow just to follow. If it makes sense to him, he might take part. If not, he keeps moving in his own direction. That choice often makes him look different, quiet, or even distant. But it's not about attitude, it's about authenticity. Not fitting in doesn't bother him because he's not looking for the group's approval. He knows who he is. He knows what matters. And if that makes him an outsider, he's fine with it. In fact, being an outsider gives him space to think clearly. He's not distracted by trying to please everyone or be like everyone. He can focus, work, and grow without needing permission. This also affects the way he handles peer pressure. While others change their behavior to be liked, the Sigma male holds his ground. He doesn't shift just because others expect him to. That makes him steady. People might not always understand him, but they can't shake him either. In social settings, this shows up as quiet confidence. He doesn't need to dominate a conversation or be the center of attention. He speaks when he has something to say. He moves with purpose, not for applause. And over time, people start to respect that, even if they don't always relate to it. Fitting in can be comfortable, but it can also hold people back. When you're always trying to be accepted, you stop being yourself. Sigma males avoid that trap. They stay true, even if it costs them popularity. And in the long run, that gives them freedom. Freedom to grow, to create, and to live with no mask. If you've ever felt peace in being different, or if you've stopped trying to match what others expect, then this might be something you've already mastered. Sigma males don't fear being left out. They fear losing their voice just to be included. And that's what keeps them free. Thing number 3, fear of being ordinary. Many people fear being seen as average. They want to be unique, important, or remembered. That fear pushes them to chase attention, build a name, or live a life that looks impressive from the outside. But for the Sigma male, that fear doesn't exist. He doesn't worry about being ordinary because he doesn't measure his life by the same standards as everyone else. To the Sigma male, being true to yourself matters more than being noticed. He doesn't try to prove anything to the world. He doesn't need fame, status, or recognition to feel valuable. If his life looks quiet from the outside, that's fine. If people don't understand his goals, that's not a problem. He's not living for applause, he's living for purpose. This mindset separates him from most people. Where others chase achievements to feel special, the Sigma male builds things because they matter to him. He's not trying to impress a crowd. He's not focused on becoming a legend. He's focused on building a life that feels real, useful, and aligned with who he is. He might have big goals. He might work hard, think big, and take bold steps. But none of it is driven by fear of being average. It's driven by meaning. If something matters to him, he goes after it. If it doesn't, he walks away, no matter how shiny it looks to others. The fear of being ordinary comes from comparing yourself to others. But the Sigma male rarely compares. He's not watching someone else's path and feeling left behind. He knows that everyone moves at their own pace. He's focused on his own direction, and he trusts that what he's building is enough. In relationships, this attitude shows up as calm confidence. He doesn't need to act flashy or be the most interesting person in the room. He doesn't try to stand out, yet he often does, simply because he's different. He's comfortable in silence. He doesn't need to be entertaining to be respected. This doesn't mean he's boring or without ambition. It means he values depth over display. He'd rather be quietly excellent than loudly average. And that quiet effort often leads to real impact, just not the kind that chases headlines. If you find yourself living with intention, not competition, and building your life based on what matters to you, not what looks impressive, then this might be your mindset. The Sigma male isn't afraid of being ordinary. He's only afraid of living someone else's version of life. And that difference is what makes him stand out without even trying. Thing number 4, fear of losing control. Most people fear what they can't control. Uncertainty makes them anxious. Sudden change makes them panic. They build routines and systems to feel safe, and when life doesn't go as planned, they feel lost. But Sigma males deal with chaos differently. They don't fear losing control because they never depend on it in the first place. Sigma males understand that control is an illusion. You can plan, prepare, and predict, but the world will still shift. People will still disappoint you. Life will still throw the unexpected. So instead of fighting that, Sigma males learn to adjust. They stay calm, adapt, and move forward without panic. This doesn't mean they don't prepare. They do. But they also accept what they can't change. When plans fall apart, they don't waste time blaming others or breaking down. They shift gears. They find new ways. They use pressure as a signal to get smarter, not as a reason to freeze. This mindset gives them strength in chaos. In high-stress moments, they're often the ones thinking clearly. While others focus on what's gone wrong, the Sigma male focuses on what's next. He knows that panic never solves anything, calm action does. Part of this comes from trusting themselves. Sigma males don't need perfect conditions to function. They're used to working alone, solving problems, and figuring things out. That makes them flexible. They don't depend on the world being predictable. They depend on their ability to adapt. In relationships, this shows up in how they handle conflict. While others might yell, chase control, or fall apart emotionally, the Sigma male steps back. He thinks, listens, and responds with clarity. He's not trying to win an argument. He's trying to understand the situation and find a real solution. At work, they don't crumble under pressure. They might even thrive in it. Fast changes, tight deadlines, or new challenges don't scare them. They know how to stay focused and keep moving. Their value doesn't come from control, it comes from how they respond when control is gone. If you're someone who keeps a clear head in tough times, who doesn't need everything to go your way, and who trusts your ability to figure things out as you go, then this is a sign of strength. Sigma males aren't afraid of losing control. They're prepared to lead without it. And that's why they don't break when life throws a curve. They bend, adjust, and keep going. Thing number 5, fear of being vulnerable. For most people, being vulnerable feels risky. It means opening up, being honest, and showing parts of yourself that could be judged or rejected. Many avoid it completely. They hide their fears, guard their thoughts, and put up walls to stay safe. But Sigma males see vulnerability in a different way. They're not afraid to show who they are, because they don't need approval. They're not trying to please everyone, And they don't fear being misunderstood. When they choose to open up, it's not a weakness. It's a decision. It's done on their terms, not because they want to be accepted, but because they want to be real. A Sigma male doesn't share everything with everyone. He's private, careful, and selective. But when he speaks, he tells the truth. He doesn't fake emotions just to fit in. He doesn't hide what he thinks just to avoid conflict. He says what's real, even if it's hard to hear. This honesty can be uncomfortable for others. People expect small talk, easy answers, or polite lies. The Sigma male gives them none of that. He speaks with depth or stays silent. He listens more than he shares, but when he does speak, it's meaningful. That's not cold, it's focused. He also doesn't fear being alone after opening up. Most people fear rejection. But the Sigma male has already made peace with solitude. He's not risking his whole identity when he's honest. If someone walks away, he lets them go. He's not trying to hold people with fake versions of himself. In relationships, this makes him clear and steady. He doesn't play games. He doesn't hide who he is. He builds trust slowly, but once it's there, it's real. He might not say much, but when he does, he means it. That kind of honesty is rare, and people feel it. The fear of being vulnerable comes from needing others to approve. But Sigma males don't live for approval. They live for truth. They'd rather be real and alone than fake and surrounded. That kind of strength allows them to open up when it matters, not for attention, but for connection. If you find yourself being real, even when it's hard, if you choose honesty over safety and truth over comfort, then you've already let go of this fear. And in doing that, you're living the way most people wish they could, but don't. Thing number 6. Fear of failure in the eyes of others. Most people don't just fear failure, they fear being seen failing. They worry about what others will say. They fear embarrassment, judgment, or being viewed as less capable. That fear often stops them from trying new things or chasing hard goals. But Sigma males approach failure from a very different place. They don't live for other people's opinions. They don't base their decisions on whether something will make them look good. They base it on whether it matters, whether it has meaning, and whether it helps them grow. If the answer is yes, they go for it, even if they might fail in front of others. To a Sigma male, failure is not a sign of weakness. It's part of progress. If he falls short, he doesn't hide. He studies what went wrong, makes adjustments, and tries again. He's not worried about looking foolish. He's focused on improving. He's not trying to avoid failure, he's using it. This kind of mindset makes them bold, but not reckless. They don't chase risk for fun. They take calculated steps, knowing that mistakes are part of the process. And when they do fail, they don't fall apart. They don't blame others. They don't shut down. They stay calm, learn from it, and keep building. The fear of failing in public keeps many people small. It keeps them quiet, stuck, or fake. They choose safety over growth. They choose approval over progress. But Sigma males don't care about being safe in the eyes of others. They care about being true in the eyes of themselves. In work, this means they take on projects others might avoid. They start businesses, learn hard skills, or switch paths when it makes sense. They don't wait for permission. They trust their own direction. If it works, great. If it fails, they grow and move on. In life, this means they live by their own rules. They might not follow the timeline that others expect. They might try things that don't make sense to the crowd. But it's not about rebelling, it's about living honestly. That honesty includes the risk of failure, and they're fine with that. When you stop fearing how people see your mistakes, you start building real freedom. Sigma males know this. They've stopped looking over their shoulder. They've stopped hiding. And that's what allows them to keep growing, even when it gets hard. If you've taken steps others were afraid to try, if you've failed, learned, and kept moving without losing yourself, then you've already left this fear behind. And in doing that, you've stepped into a mindset that's rare and powerful. Fear affects everyone. It shapes decisions, relationships, and even self-worth. But some people, like the Sigma male, move differently. They don't let fear rule them. They don't build their lives around being accepted, liked, or approved. They build lives around truth, strength, and purpose. The 6 things we talked about, standing alone, not fitting in, being seen as ordinary, losing control, showing vulnerability, and failing in public, are things most people try to avoid. But the Sigma male walks right through them. Not because he's fearless, but because he knows fear doesn't have to be a wall. He trusts his mind. He trusts his path. And even when it's uncomfortable, he keeps moving. That doesn't mean life is easy. It just means he's not shaped by fear. He shapes it into something useful. If you saw yourself in any of these traits, that's not a mistake. Maybe you've already started living this way, even if you didn't have a word for it. Or maybe you're trying to get there, letting go of fears that have been holding you back. Either way, you're not alone in thinking differently. The world teaches people to follow, to blend in, to keep quiet. But some people choose another way. A slower way, a quieter way, a stronger way. That's the path of the Sigma male. Now it's up to you. Are you going to live in fear, or are you going to move forward with purpose, even when no one else understands it? That's the question only you can answer. And the answer shapes everything.